Hey YouTube, thanks for coming to check out my first look slash kind of beginner's guide or overview to Rocket League. Rocket League is a really cool game. It is essentially playing football with rocket powered cars, or giant football with rocket powered cars, which really is as awesome as that makes it sound. It's a really cool game. It's not necessarily a new game. I believe it was released about a year ago, so July 2015. But it's continuously growing. There's around 18 million unique players at the moment. So really big game. It's won loads and loads of indie game awards, and it's so much fun to play. So I just wanted to kind of make this video to show new players or anyone who's interested or might be interested in playing the game, what it is, how it works, and what it looks like. Before I start, I just want to say I'm not claiming to be very good at this. Before people start commenting and stuff, you know, oh man, you suck, oh my nan could have scored that. I'm really not great at the game, but it's so much fun to play, so I just wanted to kind of make this video to show anyone who has heard about it or is interested in seeing what it's about, and to just kind of put it out there. So here we go. The first thing you probably, or the first thing I'll explain anyway, is when you open the game, you go to the main menu. One of the first things you might want to try is just going to your garage and customize car. Now, you've got a bunch of different cars here that you can select. Now, the only real difference I believe the cars have, they're all the same speed. The only differences are turning circles, so different vehicles have slightly better or worse turning circles, and surface area. So if you're using this little dinky one here, you might have a better turning circle, but you're not going to have as much surface area as, say, this great big thing here. So when this thing comes smashing at the ball, you've got a nice flat surface area, you're going to get a nice clean shot, but perhaps you've not got as good a turning circle. So that's only the main differences between the vehicles. What you've got along the top here are different customizations for your vehicles. Now you unlock different customizations after every game you play, so different rocket trails, different wheels, different paint patterns, etc. And these little hats, or little toppers as they're called, which are really fun little things just to kind of stick onto your vehicle. So that's basically customizing your vehicle. What I'm going to do, what I would usually do is I usually play online, but I'm going to just play against the AI for this tutorial, because I don't want to be pissing players off online by stopping and talking to you guys whilst they're trying to play a game. So we're going to play against the AI, but what we're going to do first is go into training and free play mode, because I just want to go over the controls to give you a brief idea as to how the game works. So the vehicles move in a very similar way to most or almost any driving game you've ever played. I played the game on an Xbox 360. So I use an Xbox. Sorry, I play on PC obviously, but I use an Xbox 360 controller. So when I talk about controls, I'll be referring to an Xbox controller. So your standard accelerate is right trigger, and reverse is left trigger. A is hop or jump. So tap it once, you do a little hop like that. If you're holding a direction when you jump, you'll kind of do a little spin. If you're holding up or down, you can do a little flip. Y is to change the camera mode. So you have two different camera modes in the game. You've got this one where the camera is always facing forward. If you tap Y, the camera will lock onto the ball and it will stay on the ball for however long you've got this camera mode selected. Now, this is the camera mode that I prefer, because you always can see what's going on in the game. If you're on this camera mode and you're driving over here, you don't have any idea what's going on behind you or where the ball is. So I prefer to play always with the camera locked onto the ball. It takes a bit of getting used to, but it just means you can be much more aware of the game and what's going on. So that's why. X is kind of like a handbrake turn or a skid. Again, quite handy for just sort of spinning and turning very quickly rather than doing a full circle. And B is boost. Now what boost does is when you're flat on the ground, it gives you a super turbo boost. You see you've got a little boost meter in the corner. Now when you're playing a game, a proper game, as you boost, that meter will deplete. And the way you top it up again is by running over these little orange lights. So these smaller ones will top it up a little bit, and these big ones with the floating balls will top it up all the way to 100%. So while you're playing, you always want to try and go over these if you can, as it will mean your boost meter's constantly topped up, and you'll have an advantage over someone who doesn't have a full boost meter. Now, what you can do, and what is a very fun thing to do, very easy to learn but very, very difficult to master, is using your boost to make yourself fly. So if you do a hop and then chuck your boost on, you'll see you can kind of propel yourself across the pitch. Now this it's very difficult to sort of perfect, but if you can get it right, you can get some awesome shots, some aerial shots or some aerial saves, but it does take a lot of practice. But you know, like I said, it's easy to learn but very hard to master. The other thing you can do is if you double tap hop and hold a direction, you can kind of shimmy to one side, which is quite useful if you want to dodge someone, or if the ball's rolling just past you, you can kind of dodge across like that and make contact with the ball. That's most of the controls, I think. So the aim of the game is essentially to knock the ball into the opponent's goal, along with your teammates, which is a lot harder when there are other players preventing you or trying to get in the way of your ball from going in, and obviously they're trying to do the same, put the ball into your goal. So, but that's essentially the idea of the game, is to knock the ball about along with your teammates, and put it into the other team's net. Like I said, it's a lot harder when the other team are there trying to stop you from doing that and are trying to make saves. And I don't think I can explain too much more without actually going into a game. So what I'm going to do is come out of this mode, and we're going to go straight into a game. Now, as I said, I'm not going to play against anyone online. I'm just going to play against the AI, because I don't want to be pissing people off online, stopping and talking and trying to explain the game while we play. So if I play against the AI, then I can pause and stop and start. So you have different game modes. You've got 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, pretty self-explanatory. Personally, I prefer 2v2 or 3v3. It's a bit more exciting when there's more players running around. And yeah, so I'll just start playing, and I'll explain a couple of bits as we go along. But yeah, hopefully you'll get an idea of what the game's like, and the sort of carnage that ensues. Now, as you're playing the game, you will get points for various different things that you do in the game. So, for example, you'll get points for a goal, points for an assist, points for a clearance, points for a save, points for a centre ball, which is essentially just playing the ball across the centre of the opponent's goal, kind of setting your teammates up. And with those points you level up, and as you level up you progress into better leagues, and you play against other people who are in better leagues, so yeah, you kind of progress that way. And like I said, the aim of the game is just, along with your teammates, to prevent the opponents from scoring, but also to score as many goals as you can yourselves. Now, each game is 5 minutes long, and if it gets to the end of the game and it's a tie, then you go to what's called overtime, which is essentially sudden death, or next goal wins. But I think these AIs are set to easy, so I don't think we'll be going to overtime anytime soon. One of the things that you can do, or can get, that can happen to you, is if you use your boost and smash into an opponent's car, or sometimes even your own teammate's car. Sometimes you'll knock them flying forwards or to the side or wherever you hit them, but sometimes you can actually get them to explode. So they explode, they're out of the game for a couple of seconds, and they will then respawn a couple of seconds later. So again, watch out for that from your opponents, but it's also quite a good tactic to use as an offensive sort of manoeuvre, if you like. So see there, I kind of smashed him forward, and he had no control of his vehicle for a couple of seconds. So there's all sorts of different tactics, but as a very basic, that was awful on my behalf. It's quite difficult trying to play and talk at the same time, yeah, you kind of get the idea of what the game is about. It's really, really fun, especially if you're playing with people you know online, or even just people you don't know online. Playing against real people is always a lot more fun than playing against the AI. So yeah, if you've got a couple of friends that play this as well, you can have so much fun, especially if you're all kind of chatting together while you play. It gets really sort of exciting, and you get really competitive with it all. Especially when you start making epic saves or doing some acrobatic shots. So that's probably one of the most common shots that people do. So it's just you're kind of driving forward, you double tap, jump, and hold forward. So you kind of do like a flip kick. I don't know what you would call it, but it's a really common type of shot. Of course, you can get fancy and do all sorts of bicycle kicks and whatever else. But I think the most common type is just your standard flip shot, or the sideways nudge like that, which didn't actually work. So as you can see, I'm picking up points for various things, like shots on goal, or for saves or clearances. And in the top right of the screen, you'll see it's just kind of a little list of who's getting points for what, so you can kind of keep track. So I had a shot on goal, Fury had a save, he got points for a save then. You'll see when the ball does go into the or does go into a net, it kind of explodes and then propels everything outwards. There's no real point to that. It's just kind of a really fun thing to happen when someone scores a goal. It's kind of like almost like not like a celebration, but it's just a bit of fun, really. As you can tell from like the silly customizations and stuff, this game doesn't take itself too seriously. But you can get really sort of competitive with it and have a lot of fun with it. Nice save there by Moman. I don't know if I mentioned, but you can drive on the walls, which is kind of cool. What you can't do is drive on the ceiling; you'll just eventually fall off. But you can stay on the walls for as long as you like, and it's quite handy. When you're for whatever reason, if you wanted to get up there and then dive down to make a save. Oh gosh, I didn't even see that coming. So that's something else. There's lots of little kind of bits like that, doing your flips and driving on the walls and using your rocket that allow you to come up with some unique tactics and unique methods of scoring goals or saving goals. Like I said, I'm not doing very well here, but it's quite difficult to talk and play at the same time. I'm going to be quiet for a couple of seconds and just see if we can pull this one back to at least a draw anyway. So Sometimes what you'll find as well, especially in like a 3v3 match, is that teams will sort of divide themselves into one player will stay back as a keeper, as a goalkeeper. Another player will hang around the middle, waiting to pick up some loose balls, and another player will be on the attack. Or sometimes players just all chase the ball and it all turns into carnage. But so there's lots of different techniques and tactics that people use. Another thing just to note very quickly is that when the clock does get to 0, the game doesn't actually end until the ball touches the floor again. So sometimes if you're like 1 goal behind and the clock goes down to 0, but the ball is in the air and you can kind of keep it up in the air between the players, you can still kind of get that last second goal in, which it's really exciting when that happens. It's a lot of fun. But as I say, you can see it's just a bit of a carnage kind of mash-up, messy kind of 5 minutes of fun game. You don't have to be too involved in it. You can just pick it up, have a couple of games, and come back to it in a couple of days. You don't need to invest too much time. You can just kind of pick it up, have a couple of games, and you know, get straight into the action and stop after you've had enough. Like I said, you unlock these customizations, various different customizations after each game, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the game. It's actually a cross-platform game, so you can play on PS4 and you can play against someone who's playing on PC, for example. So yeah, it's a really cool game. It's won loads of awards, yeah, that's Rocket League. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, etc. And thanks for watching.